will I be able to log into this terminal, or do I need a faculty login?
Oh, good question. You can use mine. He's wondering if you can actually log in.
Yeah, I think for these things I'll need a faculty login.
I'll do it.
Thank you very much.
That's my technology. That's as good as you get.
Good technology is what does takes care of it. Just happy when the lights come on.
Lights come on, computer shows up. It's all good.
Sound get it all adjusted, and then we'll meet it down. Hi everybody, I'll introduce myself. My name is Connor Lyons. I am a student here at Lone Star. Obviously, I've been coming here about 2 years, and I am currently in the business class with Mr. John Burns, Introduction to Business 1301. This presentation is going to be an overview of innovation in America and exploration of the relationship between big business and entrepreneurs. This is a project that me and Professor Burns have drafted together, something that we think is a really, really good exploration, I guess, into how innovation takes place in the American business market. So the first thing we need to look at is, what is innovation? The definition of innovation varies depending on who you ask. I put a few up here. The act or process of introducing new ideas, devices, or methods, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Innovation is significant but positive change, according to Scott Berkun. And innovation means things which really cause you to go, wow, says Eric Schmidt, and he's the CEO of Google. So what we can pertain from these things is that, or what we can understand is that innovation really is just technological advancement. And by technological advancement, I don't necessarily mean just in the realm of computing or microprocessors, but technology as a whole. For instance, in the 1860s, with the evolution of the railroads and things like that, that was also innovation. That was moving forward new processes, new technologies, new ideas. That's really what innovation is. And we as Americans have a heritage of innovation. When you sum up the business market of America in one word, many people will say innovate. We are innovators. You know, much as some people may say, when you say Germany, they say engineers, or Italians and designers. We are known for being innovators, for being entrepreneurs, for bringing new ideas to light that change the world. So the methodology for this project, what does this project encompass? What I wanted to do was identify and kind of explore what's the relationship that innovation holds in the American marketplace for business pertaining to big business and small companies like entrepreneurs and startups. So what I wanted to do was I took 10 companies from 5 sectors. 2 companies, one big company and one small startup, where they started as a small startup, from retail and e-commerce, automotive industry, technology, communications, and payment solutions. What I've done is I've compared and contrasted the differences between each and how they work off the innovation of each other. This whole project is going to kind of support the opinion that business and the innovative market of America The companies, while they may be competing with each other, are actually engaged in a symbiotic relationship that pushes innovation forward. And you'll see some more on that in a second here. But let's look at the comparison of the two. You've got big business and you've got small entrepreneurs. Some of the advantages and disadvantages. Entrepreneurs, they have flexibility and a passion for working. They're able to quickly move from project to project. They're not constrained by a specific business plan, and they're able to really put in 110%. If you are the only employee of a one-person company, you are your own business, and you really want to see a product go to market, you're going to put in your absolute hardest to make sure that that vision becomes a reality. That passion is something that you can't buy. It's something that is within the person. Brainstorming. A lot of entrepreneurs and small startups rely on brainstorming to come up with new ideas and things that haven't been thought of before. That's really what it's all about, is thinking of that new idea. What's the new thing that we can bring to the market? Rapid idea to market process. Instead of having to travel through layers of bureaucracy and checking with legal departments and marketing departments and executives and approvals, they're able to say, is this the idea we want? Yes? Then let's see how we get it to market. They're able to very quickly expand upon that process and move it from initialization basically to the market in a much faster time frame than a large business. However, some of the downsides of that are limited resources. They're a small company. They don't have a lot of access to people in the industry, manufacturing. They don't have a lot of legal capabilities as far as making sure that they're going to be covered, things like that. They don't have a lot of resources to specializations, whereas a big company, they would have a lot of access to that because they have specific departments dedicated to making sure that they are covered there. Personal accountability. In a small business, when there's only a few employees, or maybe you're the only employee, if you are a one-man business and you decide that this idea is going to be a good idea and it fails, the company may very well be done. And so that's on you as a person, not as a company as a whole, because that was your idea, that you brought it to market and it failed. And so a lot of times it's difficult to get people to bring out these really crazy ideas and push for them, because they feel that if it's a failure, it's a negative aspect on them personally, and they may feel the repercussions of those actions. Large corporations and businesses, contrasting to startups, feel vast resources. They have a lot of liquid assets many times. They're able to talk to people in the industry. They're able to get contacts and consulting and advice from experts all around the globe. They're able to use their clout to talk to their competitors and their allies and figure out what's the newest and best technology that we can use, how can we utilize it, things like that. Teamwork and shared workload. Because they have a higher count of employees overall, they're able to split up specific tasks to people that are experts in that area, making the whole process more efficient. They're able to take on massive projects that can span 5-10 years, whereas a startup needs something now. Because they have an established business plan most of the time, they're able to take their time and really work on evolving the technology and making sure that these products or services or ideas or whatever they may be are fully fleshed out before they're bringing them to market. They're not always dependent on success. Startups, they really rely on their one idea, sort of the idea that's going to bring the business about. They rely on that being successful. Businesses, they can have multiple ventures, they can have multiple divisions, and if one of them fails, it's not necessarily a nail in the coffin for the entire company. They're able to shrug it off, move on, improve, and do better next time. Difficult to motivate employees. In a corporate environment, especially a large one or a large company, it can be difficult because a lot of people are slogged down with menial work and they don't really see the results of their efforts. If you just see one piece of the puzzle and you never see the completed project, there's not always a lot of inspiration to put in your best work, your fastest work, and really dedicate your time to it. Whereas at a startup, you may end up with more dedicated employees because they will see the direct success of their efforts. Low risk, low reward. A lot of times large businesses are kind of confined to that area because they are accountable to their stockholders, they're accountable to their board of directors, they're accountable to the other divisions and their budgets, and making sure that they have a safe bet at the end of the day that they can follow through with and keep the company afloat. rigid protocols and structure. Big companies, they have to deal with going through the bureaucracy and making sure that it gets approval from your marketing department, your legal department, the artists approve it, the engineers approve it, it's safe, you have to get approval from the executives before you're even able to start finalizing the product and bringing it to market. So there's a lot more time there that's taken up by going through the process, whereas a startup can avoid that. So the first example I'm going to show is a comparison between General Motors and Tesla Motors. General Motors has been around for a long, long time. They've made cars for a long, long time. They've put a lot of efforts into developing those. Specifically in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they put in a lot of time on crash test safety, chassis rigidity. They developed the first automatic transmission, and they developed a lot of the technologies that we see in almost every car nowadays. It was a lot of work, a lot of innovation put in during that time period. And today, they are still a major force in the American automotive market and worldwide. Tesla was a startup from 1995 with one idea in mind. We want to make a luxury electric vehicle. They experienced some turbulence, they had some ups, they had some downs, but in 2003 they released the Tesla Roadster, which was really the first luxury electric vehicle. Because there had been a few prototypes. Toyota from Japan had a Prius concept as early as 1993, but it never saw its way to the market until much later. GM actually looked at electric vehicles with the EV1 concept, but it had about 45 minutes of range and failed spectacularly because nobody wanted to buy a car for $35,000 that they could only drive 40 minutes with. It just didn't make sense. When Tesla released the Roadster, however, it uses lithium-ion battery packs found in cell phones and laptops to be able to extend the range of the vehicle. And so when they released the Roadster, it really shook up the market, saying, whoa, this is actually something that's completely doable. It's something we can do. And GM's vice chair of engineering was quoted saying, if a small startup from California can figure out the process for this, so can we. And next year, in 2006, GM released the concept for the Chevy Volt, which was their first kind of successful foray into the electric vehicle. It was kind of hastily put together. It had to go through some revisions before it made it to the market, but it was developed to directly compete with the Roadster. In 2012, we saw the next evolution of this kind of competition and this fight over innovation when Tesla released the Model S, which is a wildly successful electric roadster. It was a high-price, high-luxury, high-performance vehicle that really kind of shook up the whole market. It was very successful. In some states, they're not legal to buy. For instance, in Texas, you cannot buy a Tesla Model S, but you still see them all over the roads because people are so willing to pay the money to get these that they actually import them from California into Texas because the automotive industry lobbied to have it made illegal to buy a Tesla because they did not have a dealership in Texas. So you get in a situation where you have the Tesla Model S on the road and it's the only thing there. Everybody's buying. It's all over the news. There's all these reviews. There's all this great press. And now GM is scrambling to figure out what can we do to compete. Well, they look at what the Model S has done, how they've innovated. They've got a fully electronic dashboard and user interface. They have lithium-ion batteries put all along the bottom of the car for weight stability and battery length. They have high-performance electric motors that put out more torque than anything they've ever seen before. And they decide to go ahead and look at what the Model S has and come up with a competitor. In 2013, they released the Cadillac ELR concept, which was electric. It's basically an electric luxury vehicle that is put in the market directly to compete with the Model S. It's got a fully electric dashboard, fully electric interior when it comes to the user interface. It's priced very similarly to the Model S, and they're putting it as the high-performance American electric vehicle, which coincidentally is the same thing that the Model S is being marketed as. So we can really kind of see the back and forth of innovation, where when Tesla comes out with their lithium-ion battery packs, GM is also going to use that technology in their vehicles. Amazon, Walmart. Walmart has been around since 1962, and they quickly expanded across the US, becoming the largest company in the world. Amazon was a startup from 1995. In 1995, somebody said, I want to make an online bookstore. And they did it, and by 1998, it had grown so huge that they did not have the back end to support it. So what they did is they actually hired 15 previous Walmart executives who had experience in information technology and logistics to come to their supply chain division so that they can get the infrastructure in place to be able to compete and be able to deliver their products. We see that evolution continue in the back and forth, and even today we see Walmart introduce their ship from stores beta program where they want to be able to beat Amazon shipping time by shipping something directly from their local store to their house. Amazon is also using that stuff they learned from supply chain from Walmart to be able to introduce Amazon Pantry, which is a service that sold things like grocery bags and laundry detergent, things that typically Walmart had, straight to the consumer's home. I'm gonna have to rush here a little bit. I'm running out of time. There's a lot to cover, but I'll try to cover as much as I can. AT&T and Google Fiber. AT&T has been a communications force in America since since the invention of the telephone. They've been around, and they have a lot of technologies when it comes to fast process switching and circuitry when it comes to being able to deliver broadband communications rapidly. Google took that technology and they improved it, and they leapfrogged AT&T by releasing Google Fiber, which is a gigabit internet service in several cities. AT&T saw this innovation, they copied some of the things that Google was doing and released their own gigabit internet service to compete. And so now we're kind of in a race as to who's going to release the most gigabit internet the fastest. PayPal and Visa. Visa has been a force in the US since the 60s and 70s, where it's the most popular payment source or service. PayPal started in 2001 as an online payment service that made it safe and easy to use, where you could pay online. Those were typically two separate markets. However, very recently PayPal's been introducing an option where you can pay in stores with PayPal. If you ever go onto like a Home Depot or something like that, they have partnerships with PayPal to allow you to pay in store. Visa also launched a online campaign called V.me, where it launched a very much PayPal-like service where you could pay online and have it all authenticated and backed by Visa. And this is during the time when they both had bought up small startups and licensed each other's technologies for fraud prevention and things like this. So we see a lot of innovation sharing even though they're direct competitors. And now we come to a company that has refused to innovate. Texas Instruments and Pebble. Texas Instruments has been around in education for a long time. We all know how popular TI calculators are here. But they also work on microprocessors. They develop radio technologies and things like that, Bluetooth chips, Wi-Fi chips. And they've been kind of resting on their microprocessor business for a while now. Pebble is a 2012 startup that wanted to make a smartwatch. And what they did is they licensed TI's technology into their smartwatch, and they made a really innovative product with it. However, TI has not really done anything since 2005 to compete in the marketplace, and as a result, they have lost revenue, they have lost market share, they have lost share price. Everything they have is dropping because they're refusing to innovate, where Pebble, which started in 2012, has seen phenomenal growth in 1 year, going from 5 employees to 60. So we can discern from this that business forms a symbiotic relationship from competition in the search of innovation. So while these companies may be directly competing with each other, they're also helping each other in the pursuit of innovation. While PayPal and Visa might be direct competitors on two marketplaces, online and in person, they're also using each other's technologies to further their own. The landscape of business today is also changing because we have a lot of businesses buying up startups. What they're doing is they're not buying the companies for the products, they're buying them for the people and the innovators and entrepreneurs to come up with new ideas. And so in a summary, we see a collective effort towards advancement. All these companies are attempting to work together to advance. They're fighting and they're competing, but they're also leveraging each other's technologies and working together indirectly to further technology as a whole. And so we see a symbiotic relationship between the builders and the dreamers. Big businesses build the framework, the entrepreneurs are the dreamers who bring the ideas in. Big business establishes the foundation for that innovation to happen. Innovation is essential to prolonged success. We see TI, refusal to innovate, As a result, they're shrinking in the market share and they are bleeding money. And so as a whole, we can see, really, even though these companies may be competing, they're working together indirectly to achieve new technologies and look for the next big thing. And so with that, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for your time. Sorry I ran over there a little bit.
Does anyone have any questions?
How
Yes, ma'am.
did you choose the pairs of big business and entrepreneurs?
So what I looked at in the past 15 years, because I wanted there to be enough context that people would be able to understand kind of the marketplace. I looked at the past 15 years, what sort of businesses do we have and what competitors do we have? I wanted 5 very distinct and separate sectors. And I wanted one business that's been around for quite a while, relies on old technology, relies on kind of the old school, big business, big corporations ideas, and matching them up with recent startups or innovators or entrepreneurs. For instance, the oldest company we have up there on the list is 1995, which is when both Tesla and Amazon were founded. They were the most recent company, whereas the oldest goes all the way back to AT&T, which was in the 1800s. And so really kind of seeing the comparison between a company that is 15 years old to a company that is 100 years old and how they compete but also share ideas formed a really interesting kind of experiment.
So you pick them out yourself rather than seeing it in an article or something?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's
I wanted separate sectors so that we could see that it wasn't happening in just one exclusive area. It was happening all across the American business market.
We have
Isn't-
one more minute. Does anyone else have a question?
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.